Now that was a fun baseball game. Dodgers pound the Rangers. Big win to start this series. So much to talk about from this, and it's all going to be fun. So let's get going with the postcast.
You are Locked On Dodgers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Dodger fans. Welcome to the Locked On Dodgers Postcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. And Dodgers played the Rangers tonight, opened up the series, pounded them 115-2. Maybe could have been even bigger. They got to face a position player for the last 5 outs, but they gave him a little bit of a break. They didn't actually score off, I guess, one sacrifice fly he allowed to let in an actual pitcher's run. But they, kind of rolled over for the position player. It's hard when you're used to hitting major league pitching. It's hard to hit 47-mile-an-hour fastballs. And a lot of the Dodgers started to drive the game by then. But you know what? 15 runs. We are never going to complain about that. It was a great team effort. The whole team was involved. The only starter without a hit was Miguel Rojas. He went 0 for 5. He had a rough game. He made the first and third outs of the sixth inning. He got out, and then the next 7 batters hit the ball really well. And then maybe the next 8 batters. I don't remember what happened with who was it after? Oh no, that's right. Heyward homered. So that's right. Betts walked, and then 7 straight guys hit the ball really well. And then Rojas came up again and made the third out. And it was, just a great offensive explosion by the Dodgers. By the way, I am Jeff Snyder. I'm filling in for Pete Fox here on the postcast. For this series, I did the Yankee series. I'll be here for the rest of this series, and then Pete will be back at some point later this week. A lot to talk about with this game. We'll talk a lot about the offense. The Mookie Betts was the only one of the big 5 to not homer in this game, but he did have a 3-run double. So he actually was, let me look. Yeah, he was tied for the most RBIs in the game, tied with Will Smith, who had a 3-run homer in the first inning. Smith's homer kind of set the tone for this. He saved Shohei Ohtani a little bit to start the game off. Mookie got out, and then Shohei walked, stole second, and then Freddie Freeman's blooped in a single to right field. And not only did Ohtani not score on it, Ohtani didn't even get to third on it. He misread it so badly that the ball dropped, and it was too late for him to even get to third base. And then Will Smith, his home run was almost caught, in which case it would have been a sacrifice fly if Ohtani had been on third, but he wasn't. He was on second. But luckily, the ball barely got over the wall, actually hit the top of the wall and then hit the back of the left fielder's glove, which then deflected it all the way over the wall. And put the Dodgers on the board. And in hindsight, the game was over at that point. The Rangers only scored 2 runs in this game. The Dodgers had 3 runs, 4 batters into the game. But that set the tone, and the Dodgers just kind of kept piling on. They got Mookie's 3-run double in the 4th inning, another run in the 5th inning on, what was the run in the 5th inning? That's right. Lux's RBI single. And then the 6th inning. I guess let's talk about this 6th inning. So, like I said, Rojas made the first out, grounded out or popped out to start the inning. Then Mookie Betts walked. Then let me pull up the all plays. I think I remember this inning by heart now, but I'll pull it up just in case I forget anything. So Mookie walked. Shohei homered. It was a beautiful homer. I think it was a full count. Definitely not a pitch you want to throw to Ohtani. It was basically a fastball right down the middle, a little bit up in the zone, but pretty close to right down the middle. And he just destroyed it. One of those no doubters that Ohtani can hit. Definitely not a pitch you want to throw to him there. Then next batter, Freddie Freeman homered to left center, his first opposite field homer of the season. Then Will Smith singled, then Teoscar homered to left field. And then Gavin Lux lined out, actually had a 410 expected batting average. So he hit it well, just a hard line drive, but right at the left fielder. Then Andy Pages singled, hit it really hard. And then Jason Heyward hit a beautiful home run. There was a tweet. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was pretty awesome. somebody put the Joe Davis's call and then the Rangers broadcast call of Heyward's home run back to back, and both announcers say, "Oh my goodness," but the intonation is quite different. Heyward's, it was the Dodgers' fourth homer of the inning. It was a blast, and Joe's call was great, and the Rangers' call was great in its own way too. And then the Rangers brought a new pitcher, and Miguel Rojas grounded out to end the inning. And then what else happened after that? Because that put them at, I think, 12 runs. Then in the bottom of the seventh, Chris Taylor popped out. Shohei got hit by a pitch. Kike walked. Smith walked. So his bases loaded. And then, so that they were at 14 after that big inning. And then that's when they brought in the position player, and Vargas hit a sac fly, and then Lux walked, and then Pajas lined out to end that inning. Then the Dodgers went down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the eighth. All in all, the Rangers only had 5 hits on the game. Evan Phillips actually ended up pitching the ninth inning just because he needed some work, and it was a quick inning. Luckily, I do think that the Dodgers would have pulled him if the inning had gotten out of hand at all, because this really was just to get some work in. So I would guess he came in. I'm looking to see, he threw 16 pitches. I would guess they wouldn't have let him throw more than 20. We were probably close to, I mean, if he hadn't gotten that last batter out, he got a strikeout in the game. If that guy had gotten on, they probably would have brought in Kike or somebody to finish off the game, because this really was just getting work for Phillips. And great team victory. I'm just looking in the chat here. Thank you all for those of you who are here with us live. Looking forward to talking Dodgers with you here. And then Vince is currently driving home from Dodger Stadium, and he and I will be hopping on live on the Locked On Dodgers podcast over on the Locked On Dodgers YouTube channel. Probably not right when I'm done here, because Vince's drive, he recently moved. His drive's a little bit longer now. But not too long after we're done here, Vince and I will be going live over there. BC says Chris Taylor's over 2 brought his average down to 100. And I think were both of his at bats against the position player. His first one was, he faced a real reliever the first time. Oh, that's right, the pop out that the first baseman made a nice play on. Yeah, rough night for Chris Taylor, as always, it seems like. Craig says James Paxton was good. James Paxton got the job done. I wouldn't go so far as to say he was good. The results were good, and I'm happy about that, especially after his last start where the results were disastrous. But he got through 6 innings, only 2 strikeouts. Guess the good news is only 2 walks, but I worry if he can't find the strikeout stuff, and then I worry that a start like this, where he doesn't give up any runs or only 1 run, is going to be more of an anomaly than the norm if he can't find his strikeout stuff. And so, BC says Paxton will get shelled in the playoffs. I disagree, BC, because there's no way in the world Paxton will pitch in the playoffs. That's basically where we're at right now. I suspect the Dodgers, when Bobby Miller comes back, will go to a 6-man rotation for a while. But then when Kershaw comes back, I think Paxton's the odd man out then, if not sooner. Lots more to talk about from this game. Want to hear your thoughts. I'm going to answer that question when we come back. Mr. Seabat asking, are the Rangers really that bad? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about, whatever you guys want to talk about when we come back. So thanks for being with me, and I will be right back. This episode is brought to you by Ibotta. This spring, flowers won't be the only thing you're growing. When you use Ibotta, you can watch your cashback grow with every purchase you make. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cashback every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. You're going to be buying this stuff anyway. You might as well make sure you're beating inflation by getting cash back on it. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of a shopping trip, a plane ticket, a Dodger game, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. So join the over 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including all your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta and using code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app. to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. This episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you're locked in. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB in the PrizePicks app for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, I'm back here on the Postcast. Thank you again for being with me. I am Jeff Snyder, one of the hosts of the Locked On Dodgers podcast, filling in for Pete Fox here on the Postcast this week, enjoying talking Dodgers with you. We got to talk 2 Dodgers wins in New York over the weekend. Now we get to start the homestand with the big win against the Rangers, 15-2. The Dodgers win. James Paxton gets the win. He's now 6-1 with a 3.92 ERA. It's almost criminally unfair that he's 6-1 and Tyler Glasnow is 6-5, something like that. No save in this game. I guess if they had let somebody pitch the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, somebody could have earned a save, but not getting a save in a 13-run game. Otherwise, Michael Grove pitched 1 inning. He did allow 2 hits, including a home run. Anthony Bonda pitched 1 inning, had allowed 1 hit, struck out 2 guys. And then Evan Phillips, perfect 9th inning, 1 strikeout to complete the victory. And before we went to break, Mr. Seabad in the chat asked, are the Rangers really that bad? And I think the answer is no. The Rangers are banged up. Obviously, without Corey Seager in the lineup, they're not as potent, but they still have plenty of good hitters. You know, Marcus Semien is a good hitter. Jonah Heim. They still have some guys. Wyatt Langford was one of the top prospects in baseball. They're banged up, and so they're not at full strength, but this is kind of what they are this season so far. They're a few games below 500. The big strange thing in this game was the Dodgers breaking out like this offensively, because the Rangers pitching has been really good lately. Even though some of their bigger names are injured, they've been really good. Dane Dunning has been pretty good this year and last year. And so the Dodgers knocking Dunning around, knocking him out in the 4th inning, which again, like I talked about with the Yankees, that's something the Dodgers focus on, is getting into a team's bullpen in the first game of a series, because it's a huge benefit to work through their bullpen early, because that sets you up. We saw it in the series against the Yankees, the Dodgers getting Cody Poteet out of the game in the 4th inning in the first game, or in the 5th inning. Anyway, early in the game, in the first game of the series, helped them in the second game, because the Yankees had to use all their high leverage relievers in the 0-0 game on Friday. And then the Dodgers got more hacks at them on Saturday and took advantage of it. The only downside, I guess, of this game is the Dodgers did a little too well and scored 15 runs. So the Rangers were able to use Andrew Kisner to get the last 5 outs, and so didn't have to use. Obviously, we'll take a 15-2 win. In some ways, it would have been better if the Dodgers had only. No, it wouldn't. 15-2 is awesome, but they got through the bullpen. And the fact is, the Rangers bullpen is one of their weaknesses anyway. So yeah, it may not make that big a deal, because if the Dodgers can get into the Rangers bullpen in the next 2 games, they're going to have an advantage anyway. I'm just looking through. BC. So before the break, I said there's no way James Paxton's pitching in the postseason, and BC says we thought the same about Lance Lynn. Things are definitely different this year. I kind of knew there was a pretty good chance Lance Lynn would pitch in the postseason. It ended up not being great. Lance Lynn, we forget, he actually, even though he gave up a lot of home runs with the Dodgers, he filled the role that the Dodgers traded for him to be, which was to eat innings, to get the bullpen back on track, and he was very valuable in the regular season. It sucks that he did have to pitch in the postseason. The big whammy was Julio's legal problems that took him off the roster. But ultimately, James Paxton, the Dodgers have too much depth right now. It would take 3 or 4 injuries for James Paxton to pitch in the postseason. Just looking through the comments to see what else we have. Mr. Seabad says Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone, and Clayton Kershaw will be the playoff pitching staff. They won't have 5 starters. They'll only use 4 starters. And, my guess is, Walker Buehler is in the mix there too. 2 of those guys, out of Glasnow, Yamamoto, Miller, Stone, Kershaw, and Buehler, 2 of those guys won't be in the postseason rotation. Might be on the postseason roster, but probably will be. And so Walker Buehler obviously has a lot of upside, a lot of postseason dominance experience. And so they're going to give him every chance to earn that spot, but it really comes down to what he does the rest of the way. We have no idea what Kershaw is going to look like when he comes back. We can cross our fingers and hope, but at this point, I'd be surprised if Kershaw is on the postseason, in the postseason rotation, just because of where he's going to be coming from and who they have, who is pitching well. I'm looking at the Ready or Not says on vacation in Kurdistan, love getting the wake up and watching the last little bits of this crazy win. Yeah, that even in Kurdistan, wake up to watch that one. That's a fun time. It was a fun game. Like, I don't think I would want a game like this every time, except in October. Give me these all the time in October. But this is really fun once in a while for a regular season game to just have a nice blowout where there's not much stress. And, it wasn't really a blowout the whole way, but by the end of the 4th inning, the Dodgers were up 6-1. So at that point, you're like, all right, we're feeling pretty good about this, even with James Paxton on the mound. And then that 6th inning kind of set it apart. That put them up 14-1 or 14-2. No, 14-1 at that point. So the game's basically over. Just a nice, relaxing game. We can start thinking about, okay, what are we going to talk about on the postcast? What is it? Mr. Seabad wants to know what Dodger gets the cookie dough shake from Taco Palace for the player of the game. Seabad, it's Taco Amigo. Get it right. Taco Amigo in Pleasant Grove, Utah. Who was the player of the game here? I guess I'm giving Will Smith. He had 3 hits, including the 3-run homer that got the scoring started. I talk about the 1980s baseball card game-winning RBI stat. Will Smith gets the game-winning RBI, had 3 hits, caught the whole game, even though they could have brought in Austin Barnes when they brought in all the other guys who can't hit. So I guess I give it to Will Smith. The other option would be Freddie Freeman, because he also had 3 hits, scored 3 runs, had a home run also, only had the 1 RBI. It's a toss-up. Ohtani was on base 4 times, though. The home run, 2 walks, and a hit by pitch. I would love it if that is a sign of things to come. It is hard to tell because it was definitely a hitter's pitch that he hit for the home run. And so I'll need to see him get some hits on some better pitchers' pitches before I really feel like he's all the way back. But Ohtani on base 4 times with his speed, he stole a base. And he hit a home run. Like it was a good game for Ohtani. Really, like everybody who started, like I said, except for Miguel Rojas, everybody who started had a good game. Andy Pa has 2 for 5. Dodgers only struck out 3 times in this game. Rojas struck out once, Smith struck out once, Ohtani struck out once. That's it. So you've got 14 hits, 8 walks, and a hit batter. So what's that? 23 base runners and 3 strikeouts. You're going to win a game most of the time when you have that ratio. The Rangers only struck out 5 times, only 8 strikeouts in this whole game between the 2 teams. And the crazy thing is the time of the game. How long was that game? It was 2 hours and 40 minutes, 17 runs in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Pitch clock works, folks. Mr. Steve says, my bad, Taco Amigo. If they had a good jingle, it'd be easy to remember. They might. I don't know if Taco Amigo has ever done commercials. The whole time I've lived here in Pleasant Grove, it's been in kind of my post-commercial phase of life where I don't watch live TV with local commercials. So I don't know if Taco Amigo does commercials. We'll see. But it's easy to remember because tacos are Mexican food and amigo is Spanish. So if that helps you any, and cookie dough is our friend and amigo is Spanish for friend. I'm going to come back in a minute. We'll talk some more about this. Let's get your thoughts here in the chat. What you want to talk about from this game, what your favorite moments of the game were. And I will be right back to continue up and wrap up this postcast. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. So you can get that $200 as a new customer just by making a $5 bet and winning. So pick something you're sure about, put $5 on it, and when you win, $200 in bonus bets, then you can bet that on the ones you're not so sure about. Go for it all. Try to maximize those $200 in bonus bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. I'm back. Thanks again for being with me here on the postcast. Reminder, I am Jeff Snyder. I am guest hosting this postcast for Pete Fox, who is out of town. He will be back later this week. I will be with you tonight and the next 2 nights for the rest of this Rangers series. And then I think that'll be it for me for this stint of guest hosting. You can still catch me 5 days a week over on the Locked On Dodgers podcast. We're doing that live most evenings, usually right around when this postcast ends. Tonight it'll be a little bit later because Vince was at the game, and so he's driving home from the stadium right now. So we will jump into the podcast live as soon as we can, probably within 15 to 20 minutes of this postcast ending. So check that out. We're with you 5 days a week over there. And the postcast here is with you after almost every Dodger game. So check that out. Craig says in a blowout, Miguel Vargas should have played more. I mean, he got put in the game as soon as it was a blowout, Craig. I don't know. I mean, he came in the game as soon as the Dodgers had that 7-run inning or 6-run inning. Yeah, 7-run inning. So there wasn't really an earlier. By the time, as soon as it was a blowout, he was in the game. And what sucks is that he didn't get to face a real pitcher. His only at bat came against a position player. He did a good job getting the bat on the ball, got a sacrifice fly. Bummer that he didn't get to face a real pitcher. I was kind of glad that Chris Taylor got out to end the game. So that Ohtani didn't have to face the position player. Last thing I need is Ohtani, getting out of his mechanics or whatever, trying to hit a home run off of Andrew Kisner. So, all in all, I'm not sure what else they could have done there. Mr. Seabat says, on a serious note, he's concerned the Dodgers are going to get fleeced trying to make a trade very soon. Dodgers don't get fleeced very often. Even the things that look like fleeces in hindsight, the only real one you could say was a fleece was Yordan Alvarez. The other one people throw out is the Tony Watson trade. But until O'Neal Cruz becomes a consistent big leaguer, the Dodgers won that trade. So, yeah, I mean, you're not going to win every trade. But the fact is, the reason you have a farm system, there's 2 reasons. One is for guys to play for you, and the other one is to trade for other guys who will play for you. So the Dodgers have a lot of prospects. They're going to trade some of them in the next 49 days. And, maybe some of those guys are going to turn into stars. Even, the one that people my age bring up is when they traded Pedro Martinez for Delino DeShields back in, 1991, 92, somewhere around there. But the fact is, they had a need and they didn't, they got it wrong. Don't get me wrong. Pedro Martinez did end up better than Delino DeShields, but most trades don't end up like that. Most trades, people were concerned when the Dodgers traded Jose De Leon for Logan Forsythe. Jose De Leon's the next Pedro Martinez. I saw people saying that. Jose De Leon didn't turn into the next Pedro Martinez. The Dodgers won that trade even with Logan Forsythe being pretty bad most of the time he was with them. And so Dodgers front office is pretty good. They recognize what they have, but they've also done a pretty good job. When they traded Matt Beatty for River Ryan, turned out they were fleecing the Padres. They've done a lot of these trades where, and even last year, the Lancelin and Joe Kelly for what's his name? Nick Nastrini and Jordan Leisure. Leisure has turned into a big leaguer. Nastrini has potential, but it filled needs for the Dodgers, and there's not enough roster spots to hold on to every prospect who you think might turn into a good player. You got to trade some of those guys sometimes. Grady Clayberg, my fellow Utahn, says his favorite was watching those 4 home runs in 1 inning. Saying Teoscar one up Ohtani for the team lead. Shohei destroyed that one. Yeah, Ohtani very briefly tied Teoscar for the team lead in home runs. It did not last very long. It lasted 3 batters, and then Teo said that lead is mine again, young man. That was Teoscar's on a tear. He won the National League Player of the Week award earlier in the day. Good day for him. What else we got here? Ohtani, Craig's favorite part, Ohtani hitting a home run and not being off balance. Yeah, fastball down the middle. He's going to get to that. And the thing about Ohtani is a lot of the times the swings and misses that he looks terrible on, the only difference between those and the hard hits are the bat hitting the ball. He rarely looks really good. That's why this home run was kind of nice, because it did look just like a legitimately great swing, but he's hit home runs on swings where you're like, how did he do that? And I don't mean that as a criticism at all. I know there's been some criticism of his mechanics on this postcast at times, not from me, but from the other host. The fact is, Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn in many ways, including the only person in the world who can be a great hitter with those mechanics. And so it's easy for us to look when he's struggling and say, oh, it's the mechanics. But then you look when he's going well, and mechanics look mostly the same. It's just crazy. I didn't realize that. BC says Will Smith's home run snapped a streak of 8 straight solo homers for Will. That was good. Come up, get a 3-run homer. More support for my assertion that he was the player of the game and gets the Taco Amigo cookie dough shake. What else we got? Why don't pitchers throw more ephus pitches once in a while? Craig asks. Ephus pitch is a hard pitch to throw. I mean, nobody throws a true ephus pitch. A true ephus pitch, the ephus pitch from the 1940s, whenever it was, I can't remember the name of the guy who threw it, but it would literally go 15 feet in the air. Nobody throws an ephus pitch. Guys throw slow pitches. But the fact is, like, if you look at the pitches that man, I have to sneeze. That's the worst when you're doing a solo podcast. Hold on. Okay, I think I got rid of it. You look at some of the pitches that Andrew Kisner was getting called strikes on, and they were not in the strike zone. And that's because when a position player comes in, the umpire loosens up a strike zone. He said, okay, you got it close. We're calling that a strike. Everybody understands it's time to get this game over with. We're not going to let him walk everybody. If he gets it over the plate, a lot of times he's going to get the call. It's the inside outside that guys will still walk guys, but an actual real pitcher throwing an ephus pitch or a really slow pitch, even if not a true ephus, wouldn't get the benefit of those calls. And so it's hard to throw a strike, hard to throw a pitch in the strike zone that slow, a pitch that's both in the strike zone and looks like a strike, because, you think about slow pitch softball, you can throw a strike and it hits the ground right behind home plate. In some leagues, the goal, you actually have to hit the plate or the black mat behind it to be a strike. That's what a true ephus is. And it's hard to throw a strike that way. So that's one of the reasons guys don't do it. And because it's hard to do it with mechanics that would fool anybody. And so you've got, the thing about a changeup is that you throw it with the same arm speed as your fastball, and the change of speed and the movement, it fools the hitter. Ephus, you can't really fool a hitter. He's got plenty of time to adjust. So then it just comes down to, can he hit a slow pitch softball pitch? And the fact is, most position players don't have as much success as Andrew Kisner had tonight, because slow pitches are generally pretty easy to hit, even though the Dodgers didn't hit them tonight. So, it is easy and hard. I shouldn't say it's easy to hit, but if you had a guy, that's why guys don't throw ephuses more often. Mr. Seabad asked, what's the rule to bring in a position player to pitch? I mentioned this on Twitter, that the Dodgers weren't allowed to bring in a position player until the 9th inning, and then they chose not to. They brought in Evan Phillips because he needed work. If you are losing, you can bring in a position player at any point as long as you are down by at least 8 runs. But if you're the team that's ahead, you have to be up by at least 10 runs, and you can't bring in a position player before the 9th inning. So the Dodgers, I saw somebody asking why Anthony Bonda was being wasted in that game. Couldn't tell if that tweet was serious or not, but they had to use an actual pitcher. And so in the 9th inning, they did have the option to use a position player, but it might have just been they already put all their position players. So bringing in somebody else would have meant either putting a pitcher on the field or, putting Austin Barnes on the field somewhere defensively. Or having Austin Barnes pitch, whatever it is, since Evan Phillips needed work anyway, they didn't opt to do that. Jonathan Meza, is this a bad time to start peaking? It depends on how long the peak is. As long as the peak, it's June 11th. So as long as the peak lasts at least 4.5 months, great time to start peaking. But yeah, I mean, baseball season it's a series of ebbs and flows. And so we will take some good offense for a while. And Grady says Chris Taylor should have laid down a bunt on Kisner. Yeah, even the Dodgers probably aren't doing that. I was surprised a little bit that they asked for the replay when Ohtani got hit by the pitch, but because it was so obvious, and you do owe it to your player. It's his on base percentage and all that matters. So you got to go to the replay there, but you're not going to be laying down bunts anyway. This was fun. Thank you guys for being here with me. Like I said, I will be with you live after the next 2 games against the Rangers too. Thursday, I should be good right after the games, both games. I coach my son's Colt League team. We've got games possibly tomorrow and for sure on Thursday. And so, but I think timing should work out just fine. So I'll be with you right after those games, and be sure to hop on over to the Locked On Dodgers YouTube channel now. Sometime in the next 20 minutes, probably, Vince and I will be going live over there with the Locked On Dodgers podcast. I am Jeff Snyder, filling in for Pete Fox. Thanks for being here with us, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow night.